Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings through the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We now come in our study of the section called Children of Adam and the poem I Sing the Body Electric, to finally now section number 9, which is of course the concluding passage in the deathbed edition. As we've said, in the 1855 edition, the poem ended with passage 8. By 1856, this was called the Poem of the Body, and we'll understand why in this amazing catalog. Go back to our study of Song of Myself, passage 33. Do you remember that one? Where we had all of those listings. Now, there are people who just loathe this section. I think Whitman's having a great blast of fun. I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think that's the case. The anatomical Whitman, as it sometimes is referred to. Now, I want to remind you of these last lines of Song of Myself from passage number 27. Do you remember this? He says, I merely stir, press, feel with my fingers, and am happy. To touch my soul, to touch my person to someone else's is about as much as I can stand. Now we're going to play the game of touching the human body, and when we're finished, we'll have gone all over the human body. Now, the assumptions here are that you've been with us at LearnStrong.net, down that left-hand side, Talks with Walt, for our study, beginning with inscriptions through starting from Paumanok, all of the Song of Myself passages, and of course everything in Children of Adam, and especially I Sing the Body Electric up through passage number 8. Okay? Now I'm going to start actually in our reading of passage 9, and I'm just going to read and annotate as I go here in a bit. But I want to remind you guys of Song of Myself, passage 24. Hey, do you guys remember these lines, which I think in a lot of ways set us up for the stuff that we're about to read? He says, I do not press, I'll back up. Through me, forbidden voices. Again, we've already annotated this, right? Voices of sexes and lusts, voices veiled and I remove the veil, voices indecent by me clarified and transfigured. I do not press my fingers across my mouth. I keep as delicate around the bowels as around the head and heart. Copulation is no more rank to me than death is. I believe in the flesh, and the appetites, seeing, hearing, feeling are miracles, and each part and tag of me is a miracle. Divine am I inside and out, and I make holy whatever I touch or am touched from. The scent of these armpits is aroma finer than prayer, this head more than churches, Bibles, and all creeds. If I worship one thing more than any other, it shall be the spread of my own body or any part of it. Well, with that in mind, and sounding very much like the last section, 19, of starting from Paumanok, do you remember when we had over 10 of those O's, O, and you remember we had over 5 of those exclamation points? We're going to begin with O and end with O in this passage. O, my body. I dare not desert the likes of you in other men and women, nor the likes of the parts of you. In other words, we're going to have an extremely inclusive kind of rendering here going on, right? I believe the likes of you. By the way, notice he'll begin with this I believe, and he'll finish with I say, all right? I believe the likes of you are to stand or fall with the likes of the soul, and that they are the soul. This is the argument that he's clearly made all the way through I Sing the Body Electric, and it's an argument that's being made repeatedly in Leaves of Grass, that the body and the soul cannot be in any way bifurcated. I believe the likes of you shall stand or fall with my poems, and that they are my poems, sounding very much, of course, like any number of things we read in inscriptions and elsewhere. Now we're going to start to get these lists, and hey, I'm going to give you guys the challenge at the end of how many different body parts get referenced in this brief set of lines. Over 100 by many of my students counting. I think Whitman is laughing all the way through the writing and the publishing of this set of lines. He says, man's, woman's, child, youth's, wife's, husband's, mother's, father's, young men's, young woman's poems, head, neck, hair, he's always into hair like Milton, as we said, ears, drop, and tympan of the ears. He uses a printing press, actually, term here. And that's obviously a biological term as well. Eyes, now we're going to concentrate on different body parts. Eyes, eye fringes, iris of the eye, eyebrows, and the waking or sleeping of the lids. Now we're going to the mouth, tongue, lips, teeth, roof of the mouth, jaws and the jaw hinges. Now we're going to go to the nose, nostril of the nose and the partition, right? Now we're going to go to the other parts of the face, cheeks, temples, forehead, chin, throat, back of the neck slew, strong shoulders, manly beard. I told you how many times, starting in passage 5 of Song of Myself, we have this thing about beards. Scapula, the shoulder blade, hind shoulders, the ample side round of the chest, upper arm, armpit. Go back to the lines we just read from passage 24 of Song of Myself. Elbow socket, lower arm, arm sinews, arm bones, wrist and wrist joints. It's interesting the way he focuses on joints through Leaves of Grass. I'll just give it to you to think about. Hand, palm, knuckles, thumb, forefinger, finger joints, fingernails, broad breast, front. Now he's going to go to the chest. Curling hair of the breast, obviously for men. Breastbone, breast side, ribs, belly, backbone, joints of the backbone. I told you about joints. Hips, of course, we've said before in Leaves of Grass, Whitman's very interested in hips. Song of Myself, passage 5 and elsewhere. Hip sockets, hip strength, inward and outward round, and then he goes there. Man balls, man root. You'll remember from Pinned Up Aching Rivers, I told you the one time phallus gets used here, he'll change it, right? Strong set of thighs, well carrying the trunk above, leg fibers, knee pan. You can just see what he's doing, right? He's just going down the human body. Upper leg, under leg, ankles, instep, football, toes, toe joints, the heel, all attitudes, all the shapeliness. Notice the repetition of the word all the belongings of my or your body or anyone's body, male or female. And now he's ready to keep going. The lung sponges, the stomach sac, the bowels, sweet and clean. This is not the first time that we've seen him talk about the bowels. The brain in its folds inside the skull frame. Sympathies, heart valves, palate valves, sexuality, maternity, womanhood. And so you can see now he's going to move from the male to the female. And of course, our readers in 1855 are like, oh my goodness, what are we going to describe of the woman and all that is a woman and the man that comes from woman? The womb, okay, here we go now, the listing of a woman's body. The teats, nipples, breast milk. Guys, I can't emphasize how, I realize for today's reading, this is not that big of a deal, right? But in 1855, nobody had written a poem quite like this set of lines. Nipples, breast milk, tears, laughter, weeping, love looks, love perturbations and risings, the voice, articulation, language, whispering, shouting aloud, food, drink, pulse, digestion, sweat, sleep, walking, swimming, poise on the hips. I told you about the hips. Leaping, reclining, embracing, arm curving. Can't help but think of Song of Myself, passage 5. And tightening, the continual changes of the flex of the mouth and around the eyes. The skin, the sunburnt shade. Go back and take a look at how many times in Leaves of Grass something about the sun tanning skin will be a part of Leaves of Grass. Freckles, back to more hair. The curious sympathy one feels when feeling with the hand the naked meat of the body. What an amazing line. I'll go back and read it again. This is pure Whitman. No one had ever written a poem like this one before, right? Read it with me again. The curious sympathy one feels when feeling with the hand the naked meat of the body. And again, this takes us back to his use of the word naked a number of times already in Leaves of Grass. The circling rivers, we think of pent-up aching rivers, right? The circling rivers, the breath, and breathing in and out. It's an amazing thing to consider that while I've been working this set of lines with you guys, you've been breathing the whole time. Isn't that amazing, right? The beauty of the waist, and thence of the hips, I told you so, and thence downward toward the knees. The thin red jellies within you or within me, maybe we're talking veins here, the bones and the marrow in the bones, right? We think of Thoreau, I wanted to live deep and suck out all the marrow of life in Walden. We talked about that elsewhere. The exquisite, he loves that word, the exquisite realization of health. Pay attention to the ways that Whitman celebrates good health. He himself said he was in perfect health at the beginning of his writing career at the opening line of Song of Myself. Oh, now we're back to the oh we started with. Oh, I say, these are not the parts and poems of the body only, but of the soul, Oh, I say now, these are the soul! Exclamation point. Well, what are we going to do with a set of lines like this? Obviously at 2a, the body is amazing, and the soul is amazing, and they are one and the same, and they are all part of Whitman's poetry, right? So he subsumes everything in his Leaves of Grass. At 2b, of course, the listing and the cataloging, I'm going to leave it up to you how you wanted to kind of break this apart. Guys, I think Whitman was having a great time as he was writing this set of lines. He said, how many things can I point out about the human body? And obviously there's a whole lot that wasn't said that could have been said. At 3a, Whitman himself said that the book he knew the best was the Bible. And it does remind us of Psalm 139, chapter 139, verse 14, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. And there's few poems that will try to emphasize all the ways that that might be true. Finally, at 3b, how are you going to own a passage like this? Have you ever read anything like this that you can compare it to? And what are now, as we have finished with I Sing the Body Electric, what's your own evaluation of this 9-section poem, I Sing the Body Electric? Too bold? Is it too dangerous in some estimations for you? Once you've finished with I Sing the Body Electric, you're ready now to go on and finish with the last 13 poems of Children of Adam. And, of course, everyone wonders what A Woman Waits for Me could be about, right? I hope you'll come back to continue our study. Thank you.